Do you need a digital artboard if you're a business owner and you're not an artist? Yes, you do. And I'll convince you of that in this issue of The Four Winds. Hi, I'm Robbie Fowler. Welcome to The Four Winds, issue 265. Win number one, something to try. Now, you're no artist, but that does not mean you don't need to draw. Business owners like you and I, we need a space to draw, let's call them businessy things. That can be sketching on an office whiteboard. It could be you in a notebook. The problem is you wind up with yet another blurry picture somewhere on your phone if you use a whiteboard or a notebook. A digital option would be a great fit if it meets a strict set of criteria for people like you and I that don't use it all the time. That would be, it needs to be fast, it needs to be free, it needs to be foolproof, it just needs to be there when you need it and not something you're paying for. So bonus points if that happens to allow you to do some simple collaboration with other team members. So when inspiration hits, I want you to bookmark TLDraw, as in too long didn't read. TLDraw. Visiting TLDraw takes you directly to an infinite canvas on your browser. You can start a flowchart, you could sketch out some ideas, you can begin drawing, and there's no sign up. You just hit the website and you can start going. You can map out your thoughts before sending your next proposal as you're thinking about things. You could reorganize staff offices and where everybody's going to sit. You could capture your next, hey, what if we tried this idea? Impromptu sketch your framework on a client call. There's lots of great uses, and you can share or collaborate just with a simple URL. When you're done, you can download an SVG version or a PNG version of your drawing. And it's very similar if you're familiar with FigJam, which comes along with Figma, except there's no paywall, there's no sign-up interference, you can just get to drawing. So let's check out a quick demo of how you could use TLDraw right now. Oh, yeah, you're waiting on me. Here we are in TLDraw. I just went to the URL in my browser. It opens up a new canvas that I can use. I have created a free account, so that's why we're looking at this account window. But if you were starting from scratch, you just go to TLDraw.com, hit enter, and you would see this screen right here. So all of the options are pretty similar across other applications like FigJam, but you can draw an object, you can double click that and type in the box and give it a label. You can change with it selected, you can change the size of the label, make it extra large. I could pick different shapes, cloud shape, come over here, draw my cloud. I could change the size of that, make it blue. This is my cloud. And then it's got other cool features like I could take an arrow, let's make that arrow orange, we can make it large, but like other cool apps like this, now that that arrow is attached, it will go wherever I want it to go. You can arrange things, make things semi-filled, so here, let's grab that. Oop. There we go. Right, and it will fill it. You can add shapes, you can upload your own images, you could add a note here to remind me of something and make that small and attach that note. You can arrange things up and down on the canvas. To give you another idea of how I used this week, I think I have one saved here. Let's actually look. Yeah. So this is me architecting a little bit of the kind of AI architecture I'm working on, and I actually created this and then shared it with the AI agent that I'm using to build this AI environment. So you can see it's a very, very handy resource. And then when I'm done with a drawing, if you create a free account, which you can easily do, you can save those over here. You can see in the regular menu, there's a number of options to download this, and it will export as an SVG or PNG. You can add your own media to there. There are cool keyboard shortcuts. So it's about everything you need to just quickly capture an idea. You're not paying for a subscription. You don't even have to sign up. You can easily click the share button and collaborate with someone else. And likewise, they don't have to have an account. They don't have to sign up. They're just going to go to the URL and you can collaborate on it. So it's a very handy tool. It's there when you need it. And then when you don't need it, you're not paying for a subscription and you don't have to worry about it. It's just there when you need it and you can immediately capture your ideas. So I think it's a very handy resource, particularly in my case. The first thought that came to my mind is, man, I get to have this ready on a client call if I ever need to sketch something out or draw out my framework or walk them through a process. You could see yourself using that if maybe you're on a sales call and you're talking to a client on a Zoom call and you sketch out, hey, this is how our engagement could work together. So it's just a very handy tool for both internally for your own business or to potentially use with clients or with other team members to collaborate. So I would highly recommend you bookmark TLDraw.com so that it's there when you need it. Win number 2, something a client recently asked. Now we're starting a new series, so if you missed the last series, I would invite you to go check out my Substack. Those are all on there. So we're starting a new series this time, and the series is Breaking Free from Being the Best Kept Secret Ceiling, Part 1. So in our last series, we talked about how the marketing activity trap makes everything worse. It confuses the problem. It makes you believe that it's really an effort issue. You're not giving enough effort when what's really missing is the foundation that makes those efforts effective. So if you slid through that whole series and maybe you were thinking, well, thankfully my business is doing all right, then I want you to pay attention because your challenge is actually harder to spot and it's lurking somewhere between, on the one hand, business isn't hurting, but on the other hand, growth isn't happening either. So this is you if your clients love you, your patients adore you, but every one of them came through someone who already knew you. Now, the good news about your referrals like that is this. Those referrals that you've earned prove that you've built something solid. It's anytime you have work that speaks for itself and that's your reputation, like that's a major accomplishment. And referrals, we both know, are still the easiest way to land a new client or bring in a new patient. So what's the issue? Well, the hidden problem your referrals are masking is that a referral is a compliment, but it easily becomes a constraint. Here's what I mean. When you think about it, referrals are a very legitimate growth strategy, and they're the byproduct of your expertise, and that is a compliment. But the lurking problem is this. When referrals are your only new source of business, then your growth gets capped by the size of your personal network. So you really have this invisible ceiling that's kind of lurking in the shadows behind those referrals because your growth becomes tethered to your network and the frequency at which your network thinks of you, which is why sometimes maybe you find yourself nudging them to think about you more. So think about being the best kept secret. When you started your service business or when you opened your specialty medical practice, you didn't hope to someday be just the best kept secret. Your ideal clients, I want you to think about this, are buying your exact expertise today. They're searching for the exact solution you offer today, but they can't find you because your marketing has kept you as the best kept secret. They don't choose you because they can't hear why you're different from the other 5 options that they're scrolling past today. So having a referable business is a massive win. Relish it, keep it, don't change that. Just don't ignore that desire inside of you that's a desire to grow beyond a secret held in the hands of a select few. Now, in the next installment, we'll take a look at why the things you've tried to fix your best-kept secret ceiling have likely fallen short. Win number 3, something to think about. So speaking of strong relationships and referrals, relationships trump everything, and they're not everything. Meaning you can have strong relationships and weak positioning. So your relationships won't necessarily feel that, but your business actually will. Like they will say, so-and-so is awesome. But your next prospect isn't searching for an awesome person. They're looking for a specific solution. That's why relationships trump everything, and also they are not everything. Win number 4, booth 551. We're going to put a pin in that. We'll come back to that momentarily. Now, I'm not an artist, not in the traditional sense of the word, like what you thought of in the 3rd grade, which is, by the way, where my artistic ability capped out. So draw, I cannot. Paint, well, yes, if that's the exterior of a house on the corner. No, if it's painting a house on a canvas. I do like art, but I honestly feel ill-equipped to evaluate it at the level commensurate with the beauty and the depth and the vulnerability that births that art. Now, a related factor, I'm sure, is my inability to afford said art at a level commensurate with the price tag that's usually dangling from the frame, but be that as it may, my artistic palette is currently capped at, like, I know it when I see it. So if you press me beyond that, then I'll probably change the subject to, like, festival corn dogs. And speaking of festival corn dogs and fine art, how's that for a transition? Last weekend, I took my Know It When You See It art yardstick and headed to the Main Street Fort Worth's Arts Festival. The Texas spring sun warmed the red brick streets of Main Street there in Fort Worth, where my wife and I meandered through more than 200 artists' booths. And as we ducked in and out of each one of those booths, with the artist's eye watching, by the way, you could sense the Grand Canyon difference between human-generated art and AI-generated art. So the human artist has to share a piece of themselves. They voluntarily expressed what most of us cannot even reach inside of us, and let alone communicate that outside of ourselves. And that's what the artist does. Now, art may be subjective, but the bravery it takes to display it for strangers and then watch their reaction 5 feet in front of you, that human-to-human exchange, and the visceral reception or rejection of beauty created by another, like whatever that is, whatever's transpiring there in that 10-foot booth, that is the Grand Canyon difference between human art and AI art. Now back to booth 551. There is where my Know It When You See It meter started buzzing. It was in response to the art of Ella Richards. I'll put a link to her website in the YouTube notes, so I would invite you to check out her art. Scissors, paper, and glue. Now, I calmed my inner ignorance. I drew up the courage to go talk to her. Don't miss that pun. That was well scripted. And then I asked Ella about her art, about her process. And of course, I had to know about her scissors. Now, I'm not sure she felt my appreciation for her art, because I'm not sure I'm super articulate about that. But it was very, very captivating. Enough to prompt me to actually expose my own caveman level of artistic erudition before her. And what ended up happening is just 2 humans, both prompted by art. One to create and one to receive. And no AI prompt can touch that. Keep building a life-giving brand. And P.S., if you want to catch up on any of the past series or 4-win issues, again, they're on my Substack. I'll put a link to that in my show notes. Of course, you can subscribe to this channel, and you'll never miss the series going forward. And feel free to pass this along to a friend and help it grow. Until next time, go and build a life-giving brand.